Hey guys, King of Charmanders here. Alright, so here I am going to feature the top 5 teams on PvPoke for Ultra Premier. These teams are super good, super powerful, and statistically perform really well, and like many can help you climb and take you to Legend. Anyways, out of the top 5 teams, there are 2 teams out here that are pretty common that don't feature XL Pokemon. Yes, they're kind of on the you kind of need Elite TM because one of them has a charge of Blast Burn and Dragon Breath. But other than that, if you don't want to use this one, the 10k one I see on the second one right here, you have the Magnezone Galley Venusaur that still does very, very well. Other than that, the rest of these teams do feature XL Mon, so if you do want to use them, it's up to you. For this purpose of this video, I will be using level 40 XLs, and because I'm super good at Go Battle League, or I'm just really good in general, because I do a bunch of crazy things, I'll be using level 40 variations of Alolan Raichu just for this video. The rest will be level 50 XLs because I actually have them. Anyways, let's get started. Alright, so team number 5 features Alolan Raichu as a lead. I'm going to assume it's an XL, Lapras, and an Abomasnow XL. Now, I'm going to assume the lead and the closer are XL Pokemon. As you see here, this one features Thunder Punch and Wild Charge. I don't know why. In my opinion, Volt Switch is Grass Knot's a better move just for coverage. And even if you have to bait, just having that coverage is much better because of things like this. You're going to see just how I play out of not having a Grass Knot. So I'm going to pretend I have Grass Knot. Here's the thing, I don't play Alolan Raichu enough to know exactly how many Volt Switches it takes to actually get to a Grass Knot. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to 5 Volt Switches, and then I'm going to fire. Actually 4. But then I go actually straight Wild Charge. I'm hoping to break a shield, and I think my strategy here is to actually switch out. So we grab a shield, and then I am going to switch out here. I accidentally mistap the switch because they're so close to each other, and I have to double shield. This isn't necessarily horrible because my opponent doesn't know I have Abomasnow, and Abomasnow does really well against Swampert. Here we send in our Lapras, and for some odd reason my opponent is not switching out. So I can probably assume that their back row is either one weak to Lapras, or they're just gaining a ton of energy here. I'm probably going to get Earthquake here. Very likely. There's only one reason why Swampert stays in, because of the Earthquake. I get Earthquaked, I take it down, and we have thick Umbreon right here. Umbreon is obscenely thick, and what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go for a Skull Bash. I might be able to live 2 foul plays. This is a very IV-dependent matchup. Unfortunately, my Lapras is really bad. This Lapras is also supposed to have Ice Beam, so the team number 5 actually features an Ice Beam Lapras, not a Skull Bash Lapras. However, I forgot about that, and as you see here, I have Skull Bash. So, this team features Ice... I'm guessing the Lapras, the actual, moveset for the Lapras, it's supposed to have Ice Beam to cover the Grass weakness, which double coverage isn't a bad idea since you have Abomasnow and you have Lapras. However, you kind of... with Skull Bash, you win the mirror, so it's really up to you. As you see here, because my Lapras is somehow to survive a 1 HP in a Dream, I do get to a Surf. Again, this Lapras does feature... the team features Ice Beam Lapras instead of Skull Bash. If I were to play it out with Ice Beam, I would just go straight Ice Beam and try to get a Surf like I did here. Instead, I might have not been able to live, but I would have done the same thing over here anyways. Ice Beam and Surf, and here I send in Abomasnow. Abomasnow should be able to tank a foul play or 2. Well, actually, it could tank a few, could tank a few foul plays. I'm going to overcharge just a little bit, and then I'm going to wait until they see, and it happens to actually be a Togekiss. This is actually great for me because I beat the Swampert and the Togekiss, so I'm going to ball out. Straight ball out. I'm going to go for the 3-point contest, and I'm going to fire everything I've got on this Togekiss. I got another one banked. As you see, all I'm going to do here is farm on the Togekiss. I should be able to farm it down before it gets to an Ancient Power, and I do. Barely. Because I'm actually not rocking an XL Alolan Raichu here, it's actually a little dangerous. So, of course, if you're going to use this team, make sure you have an Alolan Raichu XL. As you see here, I go for the Wild Charge, and I'm able to get 2 off, going back to back, since I have 2 queued. Thankfully. Even if I fire it here and they try to fire, it would be CMP anyways, but my opponent decides not to shield anyone, and they send out Umbreon. Now, I should be able to get to 2 Weather Balls, and then take out this Umbreon, and that's GG's. Again, I would not use this team unless you have an XL Alolan Raichu. As you see here, I'm using a regular just a regular level 40 Raichu, and it actually works out. So, That's GG's. Had I had a better Raichu, I would have probably had a better matchup. But again, this team features Thunder Punch Alolan Raichu, and it also features Ice Beam Lapras. I think Grass Knot's better for Alolan Raichu. As far as Lapras goes, you can go with Ice Beam or Skull Bash. It's really up to you. Skull Bash lets you win the mirror match. Ice Beam lets you cover his grass types. I think either one is fine. But yes, don't use this team unless you have an XL Alolan Raichu. This team is a lot more viable. Team number 4 features Magnezone, Gallade, and Venusaur as the number 4 team on PvPoke.com. This team doesn't take a lot of resources to get. Magnezone, Gallade, and Venusaur have been out for a while, so you should be able to get these 3. As you see, I get a Magnezone into Dragonite. Now, this isn't necessarily horrible. Dragonite does a ton of damage, however, we can threaten here because we do resist these Dragon Breaths, even though it's a Shadow. The problem is, even if it's Shadow, look at how much damage Dragon Breath. It's doing a lot of damage. I'm going to charge up to a Mirror Shot / Wild Charge, and I'm going to fire the Mirror Shot. My opponent does win CMP, so it wouldn't matter if I fired on the same interval. As here, they fire Dragon Claw. Because I'm not using Shadow, I can resist the Dragon Claw and healthily come out with it, and it puts me in the yellow. I probably won't grab a shield here. I probably should have straight Wild Charge. That's okay even if it doesn't land. And now at this point, I can go straight Mirror Shot. So that's what I'm doing right now. My opponent makes this really good switch. That was a great catch by my opponent. The funny thing is, they don't actually shield this, as you see here. So if that was a Wild Charge, that would have really sucked for my opponent. This is fine, though, because we have Venusaur. The great thing with Venusaur against Empoleon, when Empoleon has no energy, if they do not shield the Frenzy Plant, it's going to do heavy damage, and I could probably try and find down with Vine Whip. I love Venusaur as a closer. Venusaur as a closer is very, very powerful. If you saw one of my budget video for Ultra League, it's for 10k you get a top 15 mon. Top 16 mon, actually, but yeah. The 15 is the Shadow Venusaur, but as you see here, Venusaur does heavy damage with Vine Whip. My opponent elects to save their shield, and all I'm going to do is farm down. If you do this correctly, you should be able to do the same thing I did as long as they don't shield. Unless they have really high IVs, and that's a really good Empoleon for some odd reason. Anyways, we have loaded energy here. I'm going to fire Frenzy Plant. That Dragonite is hurt. The reason why I fired Frenzy Plant is because if they send in Dragonite, they have to shield, because it's really hurt. I can go for the second one. I think I do shield this one. I do shield just because I have energy banked and I want to force this last shield or give up. Yeah, I want to force that last shield or just have my opponent let their Dragonite go. I get the Frenzy Plant off. Do they shield? I don't know. I think they do. Actually, yeah, I believe they do shield. Yeah, they do shield and then they farm me down, which is a good play regardless. I send in my Magnezone. I actually sack it here. Had I switched in a little earlier, I might have gotten the Mirror Shot. Either way, the only reason I'm sacking it right now is because I want to give up this energy. Want him to blow his energy, and I want to send in Gallade to farm down. That's why I'm doing this. As you see here, we get a Lapras. This is great for us because we have a shield, and guess what? All I'm going to do is punch this Lapras to death. I'm going to hit it with a big KO blow called Close Combat. And because it also gets stabbed, this is going to hurt a lot. This won't quite KO, sadly. Gets close, and I'm like, wow, okay. So all I have to do is just Confusion down, and that's GG's. I really like this team. If you really like Magnezone, if you have this core, this team is extremely powerful, and I think it'll serve you very well. It's a very high pressure team and meshes well together, and there's a lot of sweet things you can do with this team like I did here. Number 4 most powerful team. It's no XLs, very, very powerful for Ultra Premier. I think you'll like it a lot if you use it. Number 3 features an XL Umbreon as well as an XL Alolan Raichu. The good thing about this team, it actually has Grass Knot. Also, this Charizard does have Fire Spin, so it's using the regular Charizard with Fire Spin. As you see here, Umbreon XL. Okay, here's the funny thing. So, I'm featuring this one just to show you how thick Umbreon is. And if you noticed, I'm actually using the wrong moveset. On the later video, I actually really jack up, and I have Feint Attack, and I don't have Last Resort. You can make fun of me in the comments. Anyways, we're gonna focus. I ain't giving up because I ain't no bee's knees, and I'm going to fire all these foul plays. I am still gonna win this match. Even though I have the wrong moveset, and this Umbreon my Umbreon's efficiency or effectiveness is probably lowered by like 69% because I'm not rocking Snarl or Last Resort. As you see here, this is probably a superpower, but you know, I'm just going to sack Umbreon. I'm fully aware that this is very much a superpower because my opponent's going to switch out likely, or they're just going to try to body... And yeah, they switch out. Luckily, I do get to another foul play. My opponent's one fire spin away from another Dragon Claw, but either way, foul play does... I want to do as much chip as I can because I know they're either going to, one, they're going to farm me down, or two, I'm going to switch out and I'm going to send in my Alolan Raichu. So I'm going to shield this. This is probably likely a Blast Burn because my opponent is dangerously low. I should be able to farm down with Volt Switches, and that's my play here. I switch out because I want to farm down this Dragonite. I mean, this Charizard. If they get really greedy, like over here, I should be able to farm down. And I do. I have loaded energy and I have a Alolan Raichu. Again, if you don't have an XL Alolan Raichu, I would not recommend knowing an Alolan Raichu. The reason why it's so good in Ultra Premier is because of an XL. I'm going to go Grass Knot here because my opponent still has shields. I don't want to get debuffed because if I do, these licks are going to do even more damage. And that's a Shadow Thicklax. Because I have a loaded Alolan Raichu, even though it's not an XL, I can fire 2 Grass Knots off. Again, I wouldn't recommend you run Alolan Raichu unless you have an XL. That's why it's really good, because it's an XL. As you see here, I fire 2 Grass Knots, grab both shields. My opponent should have to throw their energy here. I do let my Alolan Raichu go. I don't choose to shield it. There's no point. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to take it in the face. There's the Body Slam. 5,000 pounds of Snorlax comes down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in Umbreon. I send in Umbreon just to tank the lesser damage. Because it's not running Snarl, I'm just going to sack it. My opponent has to blow their energy here. As you see, I just sacrificed my whole Umbreon because there's really no point. I'd rather have a Charizard with a shield and to farm down the Snorlax if they don't switch out right away. But my opponent's likely going to swap right away after they see my Charizard. There we go. And we got a Gallade! You know what happens to Gallade when it gets hit with Blast Burn? It gets destroyed. So all we're going to do is nuke this poor little psychic fighting thingy. And yes, bye-bye. A whole Blast Burn will nuke this poor Gallade. Gallade goes down. All we do is farm down. And that's GG's. Make sure your Umbreon has the right moveset before you send it into Go Battle League. Otherwise, you're going to have to do something really fancy or just sacrifice it all together like I did here. That worked out. That's GG's. Again, don't forget your Umbreon. Make sure it has the right moveset. That was hilarious. I hope you enjoyed that. Team number 2 is the budget team. The second most powerful team in Ultra Premier, statistically by PvPoke.com, by data, is a Dragon Breath Charizard, a Swampert, and Venusaur. This team is very, very cheap. Dragon Breath Charizard is a monster. It does a ton of damage because it has such high attack. As you see here, because I'm facing a Talonflame, normally Fire Spin would put me behind a lot, but I have a Charizard with Dragon Breath. As you see here, Dragon Breath is chunking my opponent. I do resist Incinerate. Dragon Claw does heavy damage, puts this Talonflame in the yellow. I'm going to shield this because I don't want to get burbed, and I'd rather just put a lot of pressure. As you see, my opponent does shield. I can expect them to switch out, and they switch into a Snorlax. I fire Dragon Claw. I want to do a little bit of chip here. Actually, I go straight for the overheat. I should have fired Dragon Claw, but I'm actually not rocking the Blast Burn. So for this team, it's actually a Dragon Breath Blast Burn Charizard. So in other words, you're going to have to use an Elite Champ if you want to use this team at full force. The team that was featured at number 2 is rocking Blast Burn. I'm rocking Overheat right here, and I'm firing it here because if this goes through, it's going to hit hard. If they don't hit, that's fine. I have Venusaur. I'm going to send in Venusaur. I don't want my Venusaur against a Talonflame, so there's no point in keeping Venusaur alive. All I'm going to do is get a ton of energy on Venusaur, and then hopefully Sludge Bomb the Talonflame in the back or do some heavy damage. As you see here, my opponent is straight Body Slamming. This is the right play because Superpower is resisted by Poison types. So we're going to plant this thing down. As you see, I overcharge just a little bit just so that I can have enough energy to throw at that Talonflame. Because Talonflame, I could expect it to come in and it's going to try to end my life. The good thing is we have a Swampert. Our opponent does not know that though. Now, I've noticed that a lot of Swamperts are running Earthquake in Ultra Premier. You can run Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave does give you coverage against Fairy types. There's no wrong moveset. It just really depends what you face. And as you see here, it's really bad. I have a Drifblim. This is really bad. I actually don't notice up until this video. Is that an XL Drifblim? I'm going to look at the top right now. That is an XL Drifblim. So this Drifblim is super tanky. I'm firing off as many Frenzy Plants as I can because I want as much chip damage as I can on this Drifblim. This Drifblim is going to get a ton of energy, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send in my Charizard just because I don't want my Venusaur to get farmed. I would rather have my Swampert come in here and fire as many Hydro Cannons as I possibly can against my opponent. Now, the thing is here, I do a really sweet play, or rather, it's not really sweet, it's kind of really risky. I know I need one Hydro Cannon, but I can expect my opponent to fire an Icy one here. They want to debuff my Swampert. They're going to use my Swampert, and they're probably going to switch out, or just going to let it go. As you see, I overcharge just a little bit. I fire in between the Hex animation, just so I know they can't switch out, or catch this Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon should kill here. And then my opponent has something in the back that I don't know about. I know it's the Talonflame. There's the Talonflame. I get that little bit of extra energy I have was so vital because I should be able to... This should take it out even though it's debuffed because their Talonflame is so hurt. And in the back, I have a Snorlax. That's right. Now here's the issue. I attempt to sack my Venusaur, but I actually just wanted to do that to clear the debuff. I'm aware I need 2 Hydro Cannons to kill here. Well, actually, I don't know. I thought this Hydro Cannon would kill, not debuffed, but as you see here, I'm wrong. So I have a shield for insurance. I had multiple win cons, but this was the safest one. I wanted to clear it just to see if it would one-shot. As you see here, a good IV Snorlax, 1 HP in a Dream. Managed to get this Body Slam off, but I still get the Hydro Cannon. This team is very, very good. I like it a lot. I would use Blast Burn. I wouldn't recommend Overheat because it takes a little more energy, and Dragon Breath does charge slowly, so definitely consider using Blast Burn. Yes, you have to use an Elite TM, but you must have a really good Charizard out there that you want to use an Elite TM on to get Blast Burn. That's a good game, GG's. This team's really good, the cheapest one out of all, and it's the second best team on PvPoke.com for Ultra Premier. You might want to consider using it. And now the last one. This is the most expensive team to use in Ultra Premier in my opinion. It is Triple XL. This is a Triple XL team. All Pokemon are level 50 or maxed out to as close to level 50 as they can. As you see, I lead with Talonflame against Toxicroak. This isn't necessarily bad for us. I get a Snorlax in. They swap into the Big Thick Lax Boy. We're going to go straight for the Burb. I'll either grab a shield, and then I'm going to switch into Umbreon. My opponent likely isn't going to Superpower. Well, actually, I think my opponent does Superpower a lot here. We get the Burb off. My opponent doesn't shield. I send in my Umbreon, and my opponent's probably going to Superpower me. But this team is obscenely expensive, and features Talonflame. I'm not surprised that Talonflame is in the top team on PvPoke.com for Ultra Premier because it's so powerful in Ultra League. Maxed out level 50 has a giant nuke move and flame charge at a certain point, like +2 or +3, ramps up a lot of damage with Incinerate. As you see, my opponent's just straight superpowering. There's no point in keeping their Snorlax alive. So all I do is just charge a little more. I actually undercharge over here because I kind of jack up. And then I'm going to farm down this Snorlax. As you see, that farm down that undercharge was perfect. I should be able to do a few Snarls here, and that should take out Big Daddy Lax. So, thankfully, they don't get another superpower off. I kind of would like them to have a little more damage on my Umbreon, because in's going to come the Toxicroak. I don't want Umbreon to get farmed, but this is perfectly fine, because Umbreon has so much energy. I might be able to get to 2 Last Resorts here. Again, this is a very thick and expensive team, and if you're wondering, did I Elite TM my Umbreon? Yes, I did. I remembered. I don't have that really crazy moveset, I think from Battle 2, where I actually jacked up, and somehow I won with a Fate Attack Umbreon in Ultra Premier. I'm just that good. As you see, we get 2 Last Resorts off. I don't know. My opponent's in danger right now. Your Toxicroak's really hurt. Yes, you have 2 shields, but 2 of my Pokemon are very healthy. I'm going to send in my Talonflame. If you send in a Talonflame with Incinerate, if it switches it should get that free Incinerate, as you see there. I don't shield anything because Sludge Bomb does do damage, but it won't kill me at this range. My opponent then sends in a Lapras. I should have fired a Burb before I switched out, but that's perfectly fine. I'm just going to go straight Energy Ball here. The reason I'm going to go Energy Ball is because I should be able to take both shields. If I get the defense debuff, that's great. However, my opponent, this is pretty much GG's, because all I have to do is just manage my energy correctly. I do think my opponent does play this really well during this battle, though. I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. These battles were very sweaty, and I hope these teams really do help you out. There are cheap teams, very available teams like Team Number 4, Team Number 2. If you don't have XLs, you can still compete very well in Go Battle League, as you see here with my battles. Now, with this battle, as you see here, we pretty much have this one. I just have to make sure I call the right baits, and I fire these energy balls off. This actually gets a hell of a lot closer. As you see here, I do fire off the Weather Ball. However, my opponent is smart because they're running the clock because of my switch clock. That's why they're doing this right now. I do shield here and fall for the bait. And actually, no, it's not a bait. It's the Ice Beam. I call the bait perfectly, and then they fire Ice Beam, which is really good because that Ice Beam would have KO'd me. I call the sack. My opponent attempts to sack. However, all I have to do here is make sure I farm down, and then they send in their Lapras. This is risky. Because I have to land a move on this Lapras. I shield this, I fire the energy ball, and then I'm going to send in my Talonflame to combo and end this Lapras. And that should be GG's. I hope you guys enjoyed these battles. Hopefully these teams do help you out. These are the most powerful teams according to PvPoke's data. As you see here, I do get the Brave Bird off. I do this sweet flex combo. I manage my energy perfectly, and that's GG's. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets. Hopefully you guys are climbing. Again, don't worry about it. There's no rush. We still have plenty of time for Season 7. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.